Before we get too far into this video, I just want to say a big shout out to all of you guys. We just hit 300 subscribers. That's a huge landmark for me right now. I didn't expect the channel to be doing this well all of a sudden so quickly with the views and the support and the comments and everything else you guys do. You guys absolutely kill it. I just want to give you guys a big thank you for that because without you guys showing the support and watching the videos, I wouldn't be making them. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying that. Without any further ado, let's get started on today's video and today's topic. The Winnipeg Jets defensive core has been highlighted for its many issues over the last couple of seasons. Even when they were good, they had their flaws, and people still didn't like the way the defense was built. And when I mean good, I mean the core, with obviously Byfuglien and Myers still being on the roster. When you look at the Jets' current players that they have signed moving forward with the defensive core, they have currently assistant captain Josh Morrissey, defenseman Dylan DeMello, Neil Pionk, Nathan Bellew, Derek Forbett, Lucas Spiza, Tucker Pullman, Sami Niku, Dylan Sandberg, and Ville Heinola. Now, those are all the guys that I think would be ready to make an impact next season. But the questions really revolve around what will this team actually look like. The defense is still a question being brought up every day almost, it seems, with the fan base within the media, and just circling everything with rumors of trading Matthew Perreault and Jack Roslovic to bring in a guy like Mackenzie Weegar from Florida, looking at RFA swapping with Roslovic and somebody else, throwing in picks. There's even been rumors about Werenski being thrown around and possible Line A Columbus talks getting back up. We're going to ignore that stuff because it's obviously never going to happen. Line A for Werenski doesn't make sense, and I don't want to get into that. But the interesting aspect is the Jets most likely, even if they were to make a trade, which it hasn't happened yet, it's probably going to be a roster moving forward with the guys that they have. This is what most likely will be the defensive core next year. Now, I know I was one of the biggest homers in bringing defenseman, oh god, I'm drawing a blank right now, Travis Hamonic, to Winnipeg. He's from Winnipeg, Manitoba. He's been rumored to be wanting to come play local to family and be in the city for a long time. Even when he was on the Islanders and he was traded to the Flames, he wanted to come as close as he could to his family, and I'm just very up for bringing him in and upgrading that right-handed side and maybe even replacing Pullman, especially on a couple-year contract. I think that could be really good for us competing now. But at the same time, I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. So I want to talk and highlight just what our first couple pairings will look like, our bottom pairing, and the extras and the press box guys that we're going to be having. When I think, obviously, on what the first pairing is going to look like next year, I think back to after the trade deadline and the acquisition of Dylan DeMello. He played pretty well with Josh Morrissey, and I think that's probably the main reason why they kept him around, because he showed potential with Morrissey. So I definitely think that Morrissey-DeMello first pairing will be the first pairing moving forward into the next season whenever that does start up. I think it's a good first pairing. It gives Morrissey a little bit of a liability with the defense. If you've been watching Morrissey play from his breaking out through the WHL, coming into the AHL, and then starting his journey with the Jets, he's been very good defensively. He started off with almost no offensive upside to his two-way game that we saw more in juniors, and he focused on developing his defense more. He played with Byfuglien a little bit here and there. It helped get that defensive grit. It really helped build him up to that NHL caliber guy once he broke in as a rookie. And he's really started to grow his offense from there in the past years, and it's just started to really all come together for Morrissey. Obviously, we have Morrissey for a long time, and I'm very happy with that. Josh Morrissey is going to be the face of the defense moving forward, other than maybe Ville Heinola and something like that comes in. But Morrissey's a guy that wants to be here. He's committed, and we think everyone in the fan base is happy to have him. But yeah, with DeMello and Morrissey playing on that first pairing, I don't really see any flaws in there. I do think it's a good first pairing. It gives Morrissey and DeMello, they can play off of each other. They're both pretty good two-way guys. DeMello can stay back a little defensively. Morrissey can kind of run that blue line, try to get the offense moving a little bit more through him, not having as much pressure as trying to pinch and watching everything and having to play with a weaker defense behind him. I'm definitely in favor of the way that this defensive core is looking, while other people may not, and I'm going to get to that and explaining why. The second pairing is something I have a little bit more different compared to what other people would have, and that's Derek Forbett, the new acquisition that we got in free agency, playing with Neil Pionk. Now, the reason I have that as my second pairing and not having Forbett on the third pairing and being that depth defenseman is because of how Forbett has played in his career in the past and the players that he's played with. If you are familiar with Derek Forbett's career, he spent a majority of it playing with his defensive partner, Drew Doughty, with the Los Angeles Kings. And what he was able to do so well is similar to what Mark Mathot did with Erik Karlsson back in the Ottawa days when they made that run to the Eastern Conference Final and when they started to really put that young team together, that core, before they blew it up. But what I'm trying to get to, getting back to the topic, is that Pionk and Forbett is a very good heavy defenseman. He's going to hit, he's going to not pinch very much, he's going to stay back in the home end of the ice, and he's going to defend Connor Hellebuck. That's his job. That's what he's been brought in to do. Neil Pionk, on the other hand, is a much better offensive defenseman. He's not a two-way guy as much of us would like to think he is. Neil Pionk is primarily an offensive defenseman, and that is okay because the Jets have never really had a guy like Pionk that can bring that offense like consistently all the time. Now, obviously, Byfuglien was a great offensive guy, but again, not an offensive defenseman as much as a two two-way guy because he could play pretty solid defense when he wanted to. But I think that that's a good pairing moving forward. It takes pressure off of Pionk. He can play and pinch and be a little bit more risky offense and try to help push the play of the forwards and really jump in the rush and get up there. Forbit can hang back, play the defensive game that he's familiar with, and just see how that works. And worst case scenario, Forbit's on a one-year deal. He's played everywhere in the lineup in his career. You can move him around, but I think starting the season off with something like that with Pionk could really help benefit Pionk's game, help the offense, help the power play, and so not the power play, but just help the overall flow of defense and offense mesh together in the offensive zone. When I get to the third pairing, that's where it gets a little bit interesting for me. Personally, starting it off right now, I have Nathan Bellew playing with Tucker Pullman. I think that's a decent third pairing, but at the same time, there could be room for surprises. I have a feeling that if Sami Niku was never in that car accident that he was in last season prior to preseason starting, he would have been on the roster moving forward. I don't think that Anthony Bitetto gets that spot if Niku plays a healthy preseason, and I think that that really put a damper on his season and just his positioning with the club moving forward because of that and where he was in the pecking order of defensemen. That being said, with him coming back on a 2-year contract, wanting to prove himself, get some actual NHL minutes, I think he could really make an effort and push to get a roster spot over a guy like Bellew or Pullman, depending on who a weaker guy is in preseason, if I'm going back to say. But again, another player we have to take into consideration is Dylan Samberg, the rookie potential coming out of college, who we just recently signed to his 3-year entry deal. I have a feeling that the reason he signed with the Jets, even though he'd been rumored not to possibly be signing with them, is because of the fact the Jets might have possibly promised him a spot on the roster. Now, if that's the case, I could definitely see Samberg replacing Pullman and being an upgrade over Pullman. I think Pullman had a pretty good growth year last year, but he's getting up there in age. The development in his play isn't going to be getting much better, especially with his injury history. So Tucker Pullman is kind of the way he is right now and most likely will be for the rest of his career. And that's not bad. I'm not shitting on Tucker Pullman here. I'm just saying that Tucker Pullman could be upgraded to help benefit the defense. I think Pullman's fine, but I would like to see him be upgraded. And I think that Samberg could bring in a little bit of offensive flair, a little bit more physicality, and just kind of push the offense a little bit more than what Pullman can do. Even though Pullman did have a pretty successful season last year point-wise, I think that Samberg could be a better option, and I think Niku as well could be a better option. But again, we get into all this speculation regarding would Niku fit well there with size? Does Samberg replace Pullman? Does he replace Bellew? And so on and so forth. Not getting even to mention the fact that the Jets also have defenseman prospect Ville Heinola, and also I was gonna say parking cone, Lucas Spiza. I don't think Spiza plays very much. I think he's a moose guy or a call-up or a press box guy for most of the time, and that's fine. I'm happy seeing Spiza in the press box. He's a decent press box defenseman, and I'm not gonna complain with that. I don't see him beating out any of these guys for a starting spot, so Jets fans that are worried about that re-signage, don't worry too much. I think it's just a depth addition, and for that, I'm okay with. As a Canucks fan who's watched Spiza play a lot, I am very happy with Spiza at $700,000 for 1 year. Not going to complain with that. At least we're not paying him what Vegas and the Canucks were paying him a couple of years ago. With all that being said, though, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think the defense will look like moving forward? Do you have faith in the defense? Do you want to see them upgrade like I recently talked about at the start of the video? Or would you like to see them move forward with what they have and play the youth? Let me know all your thoughts down in that comment section. Go with. Thank you guys again for that 300 subscriber mark. Let's get that 500 subscribers now. Next milestone. Can't wait to get to it. Thank you guys for so much of the support. Really do appreciate it. Like and subscribe if you're new to the channel, guys. Enjoyed the video. Peace out. Take care. I will see you guys in the next one. Go Jets, go.